Israeli medical personnel and armed forces are on the scene after a stabbing attack in the West Bank. A Palestinian was shot and killed by Israeli forces after stabbing and seriously wounding an Israeli soldier. The incident is the latest in what appears to feel like unrelenting two-month wave of Israeli-Palestinian violence. And we have more breaking developments in the fight against ISIS. The French parliament voting overwhelmingly to extend airstrikes in Syria against ISIS. The vote? 515 to 4. But as the Syrian civil war explodes and ISIS terrorizes, or at least tries to terrorize the world, is it a fair question to ask, is any of this working? What should we and the 60-plus allies President Obama keeps referencing do to shut ISIS down? Ehud Barak has led many missions to free hostages, hunt down terrorists whose murders Israelis. The former Israeli prime minister here now in a Fox Business exclusive. Welcome and thank you for being here. Look, Israel is dealing with this Palestinian uprising on a daily basis, days of violence, stabbings, people coming out with vegetable peelers. But I'm very interested to know, with all of that, how closely is Israel watching the situation of ISIS in Syria?
No, it's not our utmost priority. It's up to the world and to the Arab world to solve it. We, of course, vigilant because we are living in this neighborhood. We are focused now on destroying these knives, intifada, the wave of terror attacks. We will have no compromises with terror. We will crash a new wave of terror the same way we crashed the previous ones. But at the same time, we have to look around and make sure that with Palestinians, the horizon will still have certain silver lining on it for better times to come.
You have to know that people are listening to you say that that's not your situation right now, ISIS, but isn't it possible that ISIS could somehow indoctrinate the Palestinians who feel anger and disenfranchisement as they live in Israel? Are you guys worried about something like that?
They are frustrated enough even without ISIS, and I don't think that ISIS is the ultimate critical threat for Israel. Of course, we were following around the tragedies, unprecedented borders are erased, a nation state collapsing, and the terror, it's a real war. It's a war. Wars are not won by self-denial, and it's war with Islamist radical terror, not with Islam per se. But in this war, the choice is very binary and clear. Either you defeat terror or be defeated by it. That's a challenge for the Arab world and for the whole world.
Well, it's a challenge for Russia, the U.S. France, obviously, is just livid and wounded by all that's happened in Paris just recently. But we keep saying you're the most highly decorated Israeli soldier in Israel's history. You've led these missions to free hostages, raid on Entebbe. You helped track down the Palestinians and extinguish them who had killed the Israeli athletes at Munich. You're good at this, so we'd be remiss if we didn't ask you, how would Israel handle ISIS if Israel were in the U.S.'s position or France's position?
No, that's too hypothetical question. I don't have any panacea, and I don't believe it could be solved within the 4 minutes of our interview.
That's true, but
it cannot. We have to understand, ISIS is not that strong on the ground in Syria and Iraq, but it effectively used the YouTube, the internet, and the inherent vulnerabilities of our sophisticated societies in Europe and in this country and all around the world. So, in a way, they were successful in hitting in Paris. They were successful in shooting down the Russian tourist airplane. And that's great, significant achievements. They cannot be won unless they will be defeated on the ground in Syria and Iraq. This should not be led by Westerners. It should be led by Muslims and by Arabs. Could be the Kurds, the Iraqi,
Saudi Arabia,
the Iraqi army, Saudi Arabia, Jordan. The Turks would be the ideal players, but they have their own price for participating in it. It means no Kurdistan. It means access to the European Union. Nothing is simple these days. The world became a global village for more than 2 years. The West could play its own role with all the cards in hands in Syria, but it had not been happened. Together with Turkey, probably now that Putin is there with his Air Force and his units, It's not that simple. Everything should be coordinated with him as well.
Well, there was a lot of diplomatic focus and energy put into Iran and striking an Iran nuclear deal, which, of course, the Israelis were very unhappy with. Do you believe now that, because people have said that the road is clear for Iran to make a nuclear bomb, are they working on doing that right now?
They will not break from the deal in the first few years in order to harvest the benefits of this deal. But I still believe that in the longer term, this deal is the triumph of hope over experience. In reality, I believe that the Iranians are still trying to follow in the footsteps of Pakistan and North Korea, who defied the whole world and end up to turn nuclear. So it's a challenge awaiting us still, I believe, down the stream. We'll have to face it later on. In the meantime, Assad, the Iranians, Hezbollah, and in a way Russia are the great winners of the recent developments of the last 2 months in Syria, but it's time to start to coordinate. It will need intelligence coordination, it will need operational cooperation, but beyond anything else, political will and leadership, determined, tenacious, ready to cooperate with others, America, with Russia, and probably with China, and Europe, of course, and the Arab world. Without such a cooperation, priorities, and readiness to act, not just to talk, ISIS will not evaporate on its own.
Ehud Barak, former Prime Minister of Israel, we thank you very much for joining us. Safe journeys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.